Hello, everybody. My name is Annika Culver. And before I get into this presentation, I just wanted to take a minute to quickly introduce myself. So I am the current president of Future Professionals on MinShape. I've been a part of the MinShape board for 2 years now. I attend Winona State University, so I am double majoring in health and physical education with a minor in adaptive physical education. I have yet to graduate. I am a senior, so I'll be student teaching next fall of 21, and then graduating from Winona State then. A fun fact about me is I actually play on the Winona State Division II women's rugby team. We've been to the national Final Four all 3 years that I've played on the team, and we've won it twice, and we got second once, but we don't like to talk about that. So that was really cool. And then if you look in the picture on the far right, if you notice who I'm standing with, that is Lisa Smith, our current MinShape president. And Lisa was one of my teachers in high school. She was my basketball coach and she was my role model. So she basically convinced me to attend Winona State University. And everybody there calls me a mini Lisa, but I love it. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I wish I could see everybody who is watching this presentation. Kind of stinks that everything's virtual, but it's better than nothing. So thank you for coming. Let's get into it. So social media, it has many benefits, from staying in touch with distant friends and family to keeping up with the latest news. However, that doesn't mean that you should be posting whatever you want on social media. So luckily, I have some simple tips which can help you make the decision about what to post and what not to post on your social media. So today I will be presenting on social media do's and don'ts. So I'm the type of person, I like the bad news first and I like to end with the good stuff. So we are going to start this presentation with the don'ts of social media. So this is the list I'm going to be going through. The first one is illegal activities, inappropriate pictures, posting complaints on social media, posting offensive photos or statuses, and lastly, violating the Minnesota Teacher Code of Ethics. So for the first one, don't post any illegal activities. This one seems like kind of an obvious one, but there are some people that may forget that these posts could become public. So for example, if you're an undergraduate student right now, so you're a future professional looking to go into the teaching career, and you are under the age of 21, you should not be posting, drinking, or going to the bars. That is illegal. Anybody in general should not be posting or flaunting of themselves, like stealing things, any other types of illegal activities, such as using illegal drugs. I would like to say, if you are a person who has like a fake Instagram or you use private Snapchat stories, I would like to remind you that although you have a select few of friends, I'm assuming that you let see your stories and post, there could still be people on those friends lists that screenshot your post, screen record it, and make those private posts public. So nothing's ever like really truly private unless it's just like your very, very close family and friends that follow you. So just to be aware of that, especially if you're posting any type of illegal activity on those Snapchat stories or on those Instagram photos pages, be aware of those things. So that's the first one. Don't post any illegal activities. Next one, don't post inappropriate photos. So something I always think when I'm posting a photo is I ask myself, would I be okay if my grandma saw this photo? And if the answer is ever no, then I definitely don't post the picture. So just a rule of thumb, keep your profile pictures clean or any type of photo that you post online. And also these photos that you post should never contain or show alcohol, drugs, or other gang signs. So there was a Idaho woman who was actually a basketball coach at a high school who got fired for posting inappropriate photos. So I'm just going to show this clip here.
KVOI2 News has an update on an Idaho high school coach fired for posting a controversial photo on Facebook.
That coach is now appealing her termination, and tonight we are hearing from her for the first time and seeing that picture in question. She is wearing a bikini in the photo, but we've still blurred the picture. Eric Gonzalez has tonight's top story.
Pocatello's girls basketball coach Lorraine Cook was fired in October. School district officials terminated her for a Facebook picture of her and her boyfriend, football coach Tom Harrison, that showed him grabbing her chest. Her boyfriend was not terminated but given a reprimand, and Cook didn't even get to talk to her team.
I have never directly had a chance to talk to them in person. I did send each girl a text message individually and just kind of tell them, wish them luck and just, tell them kind of what I thought about them as players and people, and just to keep their chins up and work hard.
Coach Cook is now appealing her termination and hopes she may get her job back.
To be optimistic and say I have a chance. Now, how good that chance is, I don't know. But I'm being optimistic, and each day I just have a positive attitude towards it. Like I said, I'm encouraged that I'm actually getting this grievance process now.
Cook says she was told the reason she got fired and not her football coach boyfriend is because she posted the picture on Facebook. She says she learned a lesson but doesn't feel the photo was immoral or worth getting fired for.
I wouldn't be doing anything like that on a family, not that I'd do that anyway, but on a family vacation with my mother and my kids and all my family around. I wouldn't be doing anything that I would deem immoral or not right or inappropriate. And I definitely would not ever put something like that on my Facebook account.
The Pocatello High
So if you noted, something she said was that she didn't deem the photo that she posted to be inappropriate. So because it sounds like her profile was public to her, maybe some of her athletes and their parents or other teachers and members in the school, they were able to see this. And also her fiance was the football coach. And so I'm sure they had a lot of traffic on their social media. So if you don't have these profiles with these privacy settings set, which I will explain later on in my presentation, then anything that you post is available to anybody that searches you. So to be aware of that. So even if you don't think it's inappropriate, other people's interpretation of your photo could be deemed inappropriate, which could result in you getting fired, just like this basketball coach was. So the second tip, don't post inappropriate photos.
KBLI 2 News.
So for the next one is don't post complaints on social media. I feel like this one's another kind of obvious one, but never really complain about your job online, especially if you are followed by your school or your coworkers, your principal, or any other administrative people. So the text that's bolded is a story about a high school math and science teacher, and she was forced to resign after parents spotted her Facebook comments, and she was describing students as germ bags and was calling the parents snobby and arrogant. She continued to write on Facebook, adding, "I'm so not looking forward to another year at the school." She added that the community was arrogant and snobby. And what was kind of ironic about this message is that she didn't realize that she didn't have the privacy settings on Facebook, which is why I think it's important that I go over it. But to kind of solve the problem at the root, just don't post the complaints in general. So even if you disagree with something your administration comes to a conclusion on, or your school board, or something that directly affects you as a teacher, it's okay to be upset about those things, but just maybe don't post those complaints and how upset you are on social media. The next one is don't post offensive photos or statuses. So I put a couple examples on this page of teachers getting fired over controversial photos. Actually, they're all controversial photos. So I'm kind of going to go through each of them and explain what happened to these teachers. So for the first one, with the title Monkey See, Monkey Do, there was a teacher accused of racism for a picture of students at zoo. So this teacher took a picture of a gorilla and put it on a slideshow for a zoology class, I believe it was. And then she took a picture of 4 Black high school students, and they were all kind of in a line behind each other. And she put that after the gorilla photo on this PowerPoint. And with the gorilla photo, it said monkey see. And then the picture with the 4 boys, it said monkey do. And those boys had no idea that the photo was going to be up on a PowerPoint in their zoology class. And so one of the students that was in the photo was recording it and showed it to his parents. and the parents of the 4 boys like filed a lawsuit and got the teacher fired. So I don't know if the teacher's purpose was it like some type of, I couldn't actually tell you what kind of education purpose that would be, but just definitely be aware of how photos and things you post can be deemed offensive, because even if it might not be offensive to you, it might be offensive to other people. If you look at the photo in the bottom left with the 4 teachers, this is actually a photo and they're holding a noose. And so the teachers in the photo explain that the photo was meant as a hang in there until summer joke, and that the people at school, we've reached the end of our rope. And so obviously a noose is pretty offensive. And their investigator that was investigating their case recommended that all of the school employees had cultural sensitivity training. And I actually think the principal of the school took this photo, who she later resigned, and I believe all 4 of these elementary school teachers either got fired or were suspended. The middle one, Brown County teacher fired amid controversy over old photo. So I'm going to talk a little bit later about going through your profiles and cleaning them up. And this is a good example of why you should. So this teacher had a controversial post of him in blackface, and he explained that he was just admiring and portraying himself as a person that is a role model to him, but he was in blackface. And so that's very offensive. And that photo though was 10 years ago. So maybe this teacher at the time didn't really understand what that meant, and he has grown as a person, understands what those kind of things mean now, and it's not a representation of who he is now. So the importance of kind of going through your social media and cleaning it up, meaning like deleting old pictures, deleting old posts and comments, untaking yourself from old photos. It's really important because you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. You're growing, evolving with the times. So it's definitely important to go through and clean those up. And the last picture is of a teacher. This is also a photo that was, I think it was either 2 or 3 years prior to when it resurfaced. And as you can see, she's flipping off a Trump-Pence bumper sticker. And I believe she worked at a private school. And so some of the parents of students at that private school found the photo and said like, oh, my student, if they were seen in a photo like this, they would be suspended. And so they thought that was ruling for her to get fired as a teacher. So these are all examples of teachers who may not have intended for the photos to be offensive, but again, the interpretation from another person could be for it to be offensive. Even if you try to explain yourself, like the 4 teachers with the news, they try to explain that it was supposed to be punny and a joke, but it's not always a joke to some people. So the next tip is don't post offensive photos or statuses. And lastly, I think this kind of covers everything you shouldn't post, would be if it violates the Minnesota Teacher Code of Ethics. So the Code of Ethics is kind of like rules that teachers live by if you don't really know what they are. And if you violate one of these codes, there's the potential of you being fired or suspended. So I have provided you with the Code of Ethics, and we are going to go over this scenario. So Susie was a new special education teacher in Winona Area Public Schools. She just graduated from college and was about to embark on her dream of being a teacher with her own classroom. She simply loved her students and wanted to share her adventure with the world. So she frequently posted photos on Facebook and Instagram of her students with statements such as, "This is a student in my class. I'm so proud of him." One time, Susie experienced the most challenging part of her first year, the death of a student. She so badly wanted to provide comfort to the parents and all of the students in the school. So she posted the following: "We must be sympathetic to people with mental illness. We just had a student take their life because of this problem we too often ignore. Take care of each other. We're all in this together." So I want you guys to comment down below and talk about If you think Susie violated any of the code of ethics, which ones did she violate and why you think that? So I'm going to give you guys about 3 to 4 minutes to reread through the scenario, read through the code of ethics, and then take the time to comment down below what code of ethics she violated or if she didn't violate. Okay, I think that should have been enough time. So going through the scenario, I would like to point out that Susie is a special education teacher and she is posting photos of students in her class. Not only should you not be posting students without the permission of their parents, but you should definitely not be posting students with IEPs or 504s on social media. You really then really then need the parents' permission to do so. So I would say that the code of ethics that Susie violated was C, which is in accordance with state and federal laws, a teacher shall disclose confidential information about individuals only when a compelling professional purpose is served or when required by the law. So there was no professional purpose with her posting these Facebook and Instagram photos of her students. And it was also not required of her by the law to do so. And this she is sharing confidential information about her students who have IEPs and 504s, which is one way that she could have been, fired or gotten in trouble. But the other thing that Susie did, or the other code of ethics that she violated, was a teacher shall not knowingly make false or malicious statements about students or colleagues. So with the student about how she really wanted to comfort the parents and the students in the school after one of her students died. And she posted that she should be sympathetic, or everybody should be sympathetic to people with mental illness. Maybe she's not knowingly making these false or malicious statements, but she can't just assume that that's why the student died. We don't even know if the student actually committed suicide or what the reason of his death was. And so even though she was doing it in a way to provide comfort, she was just providing information and making statements that she definitely shouldn't have. So if you participated and commented in the comments, thank you for that. So that was the last one. So to review, the don'ts of social media is don't post illegal activities, no drugs, alcohol, stealing, none of that. Don't post inappropriate pictures. If you don't want your grandma to see it, you probably shouldn't put it online. Don't complain on social media. Just complain to your friends or your family or whoever. Just don't complain to your computer. Don't post offensive photos or statuses. Try to see all things from different perspectives. So, this photo, this post may not be offensive or will not affect anybody in my life in any way, but, try to take that culturally responsive viewpoint on things and try to see it from a different angle, or to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. What would they think if they saw this post from me? And 5, just an overall arching theme. Don't violate the Minnesota Teacher Code of Ethics, period, but definitely don't do it on social media, just like Susie did. So moving in to the more exciting stuff, the do's of social media. So I will be talking about how to stay in touch, following colleagues and professional pages, show or post what you're proud of, use privacy settings, and create professional profiles. So the first one, stay in touch. With all of this COVID stuff going on and, school and some classes being hybrid or totally online, or, you're lucky that if you have any in-person ones. I know at Winona State, all of my classes are online currently this semester. I'm excited next semester we actually get to have some hybrid classes, but right now I've had all of my classes online. I haven't seen anybody face-to-face. So I miss my professors, I miss my classmates, and I want to be able to stay in touch with them. So these are a few apps that I would suggest ways to stay in touch in a more formal manner. Something I didn't add in the social media don'ts would be to contact your students directly, like you providing your phone number to them or like you asking for their personal phone number. I think it's okay if you have the parent's phone number on file, that's completely different, but not just your students. So using these different apps is a good way to have like a third party and keeping that connection. And it's also really nice because you can create classrooms and it still kind of feels like you're a part of your class and you can still talk to your peers through these apps. So the first one, I'm just going to go through the apps from left to right. First one you might have already seen is Microsoft Teams. I know in one of my classes we use this one to stay in touch with each other. The middle one is Google Classroom, but I believe you can post assignments and stuff on Google Classroom, but I think you can also communicate, send out reminders on Google Classroom. And the third app is called Remind. It's kind of the same presence as Google Classroom with sending out reminders for assignment due dates, but also you can stay in touch similar to Teams. These are some 3 apps that I really like and I picked out, but if you have any other suggestions of apps that you use to stay in touch with your students, definitely comment them down below. Keep building up that toolbox of resources that you got for teaching. So the first one, your do's on social media is to stay in touch, which is the whole purpose of social media. The next one, follow colleagues and professional pages. So I have provided some people and some professional pages that I follow. So through Twitter, if you have your phone next to you sitting at the computer, pull out your phone, open up Twitter. And if you're not already following these people, this is my plug for them. They don't even know I'm doing this, but you should definitely follow these people. PE Geeks, PE Central, Phys Educator, Open Phys Ed, Shape America. Follow the Shape America CEO, Lisa Smith, PE, our current MinShape president, and then of course MinShape. And then for Facebook, these are some pages that I've joined. PE Central and Health Teacher Central are amazing. You just have to request to get into the page. And if you're a PE, it's obvious you're a PE or health teacher, you'll get accepted into the page immediately. And teachers on those pages post lesson plan ideas, activity ideas, anything in between, really. And it's really cool because people will ask questions like, hey, I've never taught this content area before. I'm a first year teacher. Does anybody have any suggestions? And people always comment back and put these suggestions. This worked for my class. This didn't work for my class. Or if somebody has a super cool activity or lesson plan, they provide the documents for it. So those are really good pages to, get involved in and get yourself added to. And also, just to keep growing your network of people, if you have a Twitter page or a Facebook page that you would like to share for people to follow you, or you want to follow new people to get new ideas, if they're posting their activities, their lesson plans on there, definitely comment below. What are your Twitter names? My Twitter, which I did not plug on here, is just Annika Culver PE. I kind of took after Lisa Smith's idea, but I am not really posting a whole lot right now. But what's really cool is that if you do follow any of these bigger professional pages, they usually retweet stuff from other people, retweet different activities that people have posted. So you can just continue to build up your network by just following random PE and health teachers who just seem to be rocking it wherever they are, and you want to be able to implement some of their activities or get ideas from them. So I'm going to leave this up here for like a little bit longer if you haven't already added some of these people to your Twitter or your Facebook. Okay. So show what you're proud of. So like I was saying, that teachers are posting activities and things that work, things that don't work on Twitter and on Facebook. Show what you're proud of. If you had a really cool lesson and you got parent permission to record your students doing a really cool activity, post it. Those are stuff that you should be putting on your social media. It shows that you are kind of a 21st century teacher. You're trying out new ideas and new activities, and you can also get feedback on it. So maybe somebody did a similar activity to you and they said, oh, that's so cool. Have you ever tried it with this piece of equipment? So you can always get feedback too, which is really cool because, it's always fun to keep changing up activities and making those variations for students. This is an example that I had. I was teaching a lesson in a second grade class, and it was about offensive and defensive tactics. So to teach that, I was using the tool of tag to teach it, a type of tag game. But I was trying to teach them ready position, so I created a GIF. So I just wanted to explain to you guys, if you don't know how to create GIFs or GIFs, whatever you call it, just give you this resource. This app that I use is called GIF Maker. It's super easy to use, and I have a quick little tutorial. So when you open up the app, this middle picture is the home screen that you'll see. And so for this GIF, I just clicked on video to GIF. And so you can take the length of any video. So it could be a 2-minute long video, a 2-second long video, and you can create it into a GIF, which is awesome. You can just cut it down. So this video here kind of gives you a tutorial on how to do this. I took this video of my Winona State classmates last year at the MinShape 2019 conference. They were at Christy Malley's session. I believe it was Christy's. She's a professor at Winona State, but they were doing a little drumming session. So I'm just, typing up what session they were at, typing in MinShape 2019, that was the conference. You can change the color of the font. You can change the different font type. So you can see in the GIF I made, ready position, that font is different than the fonts I'm using in the drumming GIFs. But it's super simple. You can just save it to your phone, and then say you're using a PowerPoint to show off the GIFs, then you can just airdrop it to your computer if that's what you're making the PowerPoint on. Super quick and super easy. Okay, another one of social media is to use privacy settings. So I just wanted to show how to turn your Instagram settings on to private. So if you were to look up me on Instagram, you would just see my profile picture, my name. I go to Winona State University, and I'm a 2-time national champion with a little rugby ball emoji, obviously. So what you're going to do is when you go into your profile, you're going to touch the top right corner, the 3 lines, and then this is the options that'll slide up. So you're going to click on settings, and then when you get to settings, you go to privacy. And then when you get in there, you just make sure that the private account switch is flipped, and then you're set to your account will look just like mine is. It'll come up, it'll say this account is private. You're gonna have to request to follow me. So I think what's really helpful is, maybe you do want to connect with me on Instagram. Having something in there that shows me that you're another teacher or a future professional would be really helpful. That way I would be more willing to accept your follow request. So that is privacy settings on Instagram. This is privacy settings on Facebook. So when you open up your Facebook profile, you're going to see the 3 little dots, kind of what I'm showing here. And when that page opens, this is your profile settings. So you can go down to view privacy shortcuts. And Facebook has a ton of different privacy settings to go through. So the other day I went through and I just updated all my privacy settings. Another thing that you can do on Facebook is if you don't want your students to easily find you, I would suggest maybe changing your last name to your middle name on Facebook. That way only people that are really close to you know how to find you on Facebook. Or another thing that you can do is you can change your first name to a nickname. Just different ways to make it harder for your students to find you, because your first and last name are going to be two things that I feel like students will find out very quickly, especially your last name, obviously. But that is how you change your privacy settings on Facebook. Okay, another social media do is create professional profiles. So I have 3 examples here, and then I'm also going to talk about creating a professional portfolio in a moment. So the first one is to create a LinkedIn account. This website is mainly used for professional networking, including employers posting jobs and job seekers posting their CVs. It also gives you another chance to just build up your toolbox of people that you know, people you can go to, just really building up your professional networking. Another thing for Twitter, say you don't want to get rid of that Twitter account you've had since you were in 7th grade of high school. If you really want to keep that Twitter account, or if you're like me and you cannot figure out how to delete it, you can switch your personal Twitter account to private. And also something that you can do on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, I believe, is you can, if you already have people following you and they're not really a part of your life anymore, maybe you're friends with them 4 or 5 years ago, but you don't have any connections with them anymore, you can remove them from your profile. They don't have to always follow you. You can delete them from your profile basically, but I know they won't get notifications that they're no longer following you. So that is another way to kind of clean up your social media. But if you have that personal Twitter account, turn on your privacy settings, clean up and delete tweets from high school. We know we're not the same people from high school. And then create a new professional Twitter account. So just like the Twitter account that I was talking about, my own, Annika Culver PE, it'll say, let me pull it up right now. Just Annika Culver PE, following all of those professional pages and colleagues, or a lot of my classmates, and we all follow each other's professional Twitter accounts. So, I mean, if you are a future professional and you have some classmates, maybe all of you guys can get together and create professional Twitter accounts and share each other's Twitter handles. So if you haven't already, definitely share your Twitter handle down below. And I already explained this Facebook tip would be to change your last name on your Facebook to your middle name using a nickname or etc. I don't know what else you would change it to though. Okay, so we are going to create, if you don't already have a LinkedIn account, this next part of the presentation is how to create a LinkedIn account, some tips for creating a LinkedIn account, and then you'll see me kind of update my LinkedIn account. And then we are going to talk about the professional portfolio, and that should almost be it. So getting into and creating a LinkedIn profile. So we're going to go through these 6 LinkedIn profile tips.
Hi, it's Linda Rayner of lindarayner.com, career strategist, speaker, and coach. And in this video, I'm going to teach you 6 tips on how to make a great LinkedIn profile so that you can get noticed by recruiters and hiring managers and literally become a magnet for new job opportunities. You may not realize this, but aside from your resume, your LinkedIn profile is being carefully reviewed by the recruiters and hiring managers for the jobs that you apply for. So if your LinkedIn isn't on point, you may not even make it to the first round of interviews. So it's extremely important to pay attention to how your LinkedIn is being presented and that it represents the best possible version of you. All right, so let's dive into LinkedIn tip number 1, and that is to have a photo that sends good vibes. So aside from your name, your LinkedIn profile picture is one of the first things that recruiters and hiring managers look at as soon as they look you up on LinkedIn. So you want to have a photo that's recent and of high quality. You don't want to be using any old or dark grainy photos, and you definitely don't want to be deceiving anybody by using a photo from several years back. So you make sure that it's bright, it's clear, and that you're smiling and looking professional. So for the guys, perhaps wear a
Something that I should add, if you don't already have the LinkedIn app downloaded on your phone, you should open up your phone and download it now while the video is playing. That way, after you learn about these 6 profile tips, you can get started in creating your own LinkedIn.
Collared shirt and a suit jacket, and if you can, a tie as part of your LinkedIn profile picture. And for the ladies, I would suggest wearing a blazer or just a nice fitted top that is appropriate for the office. Also, try to have a LinkedIn specific photo instead of using a picture from a recent family wedding or some other occasion. The reason for this is because you want to give the sense that you're serious about your career. So using any photo from any situation in any setting can cause some people to potentially question how serious you really are. So that's why I say if you want to put your best self forward in your job search and in your career, then that also applies to your LinkedIn profile photo. Tip number 2, use an appropriate headline. So I've seen different opinions on what people should put as their headlines. I've seen people say that you should have multiple description words that are high value and high impact. But to be honest, I completely disagree. I feel that you should just put your job title as your headline. So if you're a senior financial analyst, put that as your headline. If you are a finance manager, put that as your headline. And the reason for this is so that recruiters and hiring managers can find you easily. If they have a job opportunity and they're looking for someone with your type of experience, your title specifically, then they'll be able to find you. But if you put in all these complicated words and vague descriptions in your headline, people don't know what your title is and they don't know who you are and what you do. So I highly recommend using your job title as your headline. All right, on to tip number 3, have a what I can do for you oriented profile summary. A lot of people don't even write up profile summaries in their LinkedIn profiles, and I think that's a shame because when you do have a profile summary, it helps you to get noticed by recruiters and hiring managers for buzzwords that they may be looking up. So in your profile summary, you want it to be short and sweet, but at the same time, you also don't want to just be talking about you, and instead talk about what problems you help to solve. And an example of how you would write your profile summary would be, I help organizations to perform budgeting, forecasting, and financial analysis over their revenue and expense budgets to ensure profitability targets are met at minimum costs. So that's an example of one sentence that you would have as part of your profile summary. And you would have probably, I would say 3 or 4 of those, and they'll make up a full paragraph. And that will be your little intro for anybody that lands on your LinkedIn profile. On to tip number 4, and that is to make your work experience short and sweet. You don't want to lay out all your details and your duties and your achievements onto your LinkedIn profile because that's what your resume is for. So your LinkedIn profile should just have your job titles, your companies that you've worked at, the exact months and years that you've worked in each of those roles, and maybe have one bullet point that kind of summarizes the overall responsibilities within each of the jobs that you've held. The reason why you don't want to lay out all your goods on the LinkedIn profile is because you want to pique the interest of the recruiter or the hiring manager. If they see that based on the titles that you've held and the companies you've worked at, that there's a potential fit for an opportunity that they have on the go, there's a greater likelihood that because they don't know everything about you by just looking at your LinkedIn profile, they will then reach out to you and ask for your resume. So that's how you then become a greater magnet for job opportunities. Tip number 5, show off your recommendations. A lot of people seem to hesitate to ask for recommendations from their old managers or bosses, but I say get over that fear and ask for those recommendations because that's one simple way that you can get your LinkedIn profile to truly stand out from other profiles out there. And you want to make sure that, again, these recommendations are coming from people that you worked for, such as an old boss or a manager, as opposed to a peer. And the reason is getting a recommendation from a peer is fine, but it's still not as effective as if you can have it from someone who you consider a reference. And finally, tip number 6, put out your contact details. This is something that a lot of people forget to do, but I say always remember to include some sort of contact information, whether it's an email address, and if you're comfortable, a phone number, somewhere that is easily visible on your LinkedIn profile so that any recruiter or hiring manager that really wants to speak to you right away about an opportunity can easily find it and reach out to you. So now you have it, 6 major tips on how to.
Okay. So some of those tips were definitely not geared towards teachers, and I realized that.
Hi, it's Linda.
So I am going to show you guys how I updated my LinkedIn. So I screen recorded myself updating my LinkedIn on my phone. Obviously, if you were to create a brand new LinkedIn, it might be easier to use it on your computer, but I'm assuming you're using your computer to currently watch this presentation. So I showed you how you guys could do it on the phone. So I took what she said, her tips, and tried to implement it into my LinkedIn profile. And as something I would suggest for your LinkedIn profile would be to use an email that you're going to have forever. So if you're a future professional, I wouldn't use your school email because that might not last forever. So definitely use a personal email. That's just one plug for if you're creating a brand new LinkedIn account. Okay, so I took her first tip, have a photo that sends good vibes. I'm hoping my photo sends good vibes, but this is a photo, a professional headshot that I had taken. Our HERS department at Winona State University was offering free professional headshots through the Lead HERS Club, which is an amazing club on campus. And so, I mean, they said free and I said where. So it was really nice to get this professional headshot and I use it on all of my professional profiles. It's recent. I just had this photo taken last year. I know my hair is a little darker, so it's not super recent, but yeah, I use this professional profile photo literally everywhere. So that's the first tip I took. Okay, so next one is like my profile. So I just have my name, my last name, and then my headline. So she was talking about the headline being relevant to you. And you can see my headline just says future health and physical education teacher. Done. Simple, clean. That's what I'm going to be. That's all I really needed on that intro. And then adding a profile summary. So there are a few ways that you can do this profile summary. You can write it in the first person or you can write it in the third person. So I chose to write mine this way. And if you want to write exactly what I wrote on my summary, go right ahead. I do not care. I just said I am currently a senior at Winona State University. I talk about the clubs that I'm involved in. I tried to add a what I can do for you oriented profile summary towards the end. I think I could have made that a little stronger. But if you have any tips or if you have ever seen a really good LinkedIn profile summary or have any other examples for us, definitely comment down below. I mean, this is just what I came up with, and I'm sure there are other ways to do it. Well, I know there are other ways to do it, but there could be better ways to do it. So, or even if you have suggestions for me of how I could change it, that would be great too. So, I'm currently a senior at Winona State University studying health and physical education. While minoring in adaptive and physical education, I am very involved on campus and in the Winona community. I am the president of the women's rugby club team, and I am an active member of my major's clubs on campus. So I try to add the whole little what I can do for you part at the end. So I just said I'm hardworking, I'm dedicated to my future career, and I'm talented and recognizing and cultivating the potential in others. So if you're ever stuck and you don't really have a good answer when people ask you, what are your strengths and weaknesses? I would suggest taking a personality test. Usually those show you some pretty good strengths and weaknesses, and you know, you can really enhance those strengths and have an understanding and idea of those weaknesses, which is good to know when you go into interviews and such. So that is just what I wrote in my summary. I did not include references. That's something that I need to look into getting from people that I worked for, my professors at school. But yeah, I didn't really do tip 5. So that's what my profile looks like now. Just kind of shows you like my work experience. I recently just stopped working at my part-time job, but I was a behavioral therapist aide at a children's autism therapy center for 2 years. That's very relevant experience that I had. So definitely including that. Okay, and then next, I'm going to share a new screen. Let's see if I do this right. Okay. Creating a professional portfolio. So I got this idea from a class I'm currently in. It's called the Professional Educator. How ironic. And one of our assignments was to create a portfolio. So this is what my portfolio looks like. I use, like I said, use Wix. It's so easy. I think the thing that stood out to me the most that my professor said is that it's just like a dump for all of the stuff that you do related to your career and your future career. And if you need a resume that's more condensed in your portfolio, you can just take things out of it. And it's all right there. It's on this website. And you can also just give people your website handle or whatever it's called, so people can look you up. So I'm just going to quickly go through mine here. So I just have a welcoming page on here, a little bit about me, that I grew up right outside of Duluth, Minnesota. Kind of talked about things I'm involved in, things I like to do. I have my resume. Like I was saying, I can just pull stuff from my resume if I need to. Got honors and awards, different organizations I'm a part of, field experience, scholarship awards, work experience, certifications, and then my education. And this is something we needed for our class, but we just needed to show lesson plans and artifacts that have the standards of effective practice. So we need all 10 standards, but have yet to do this because it's not due for a while. I just wanted to get a head start on it. So this would be a really good place to put in different lesson plans, some of your strongest lesson plans, different activities you do, or maybe different trainings you've gone to. If you go to a culturally inclusive or culturally responsive training, I would definitely add that and how that experience changed you, what standard that related to, so on and so forth. And then just my contact information, or if you want to contact me, you can type this stuff in, submit it, and I would be able to get a hold of you with my additional contact information here. So it's super easy to use. You kind of got to play around with it for a little bit, but it comes up with a ton of different templates that you can change. I changed the colors, the fonts to ones that I liked and that seemed more me. But again, you can see that professional photo. You'll see it on LinkedIn, this photo, the beginning slide of my PowerPoint. It's everywhere. My Facebook profile. So, but yeah, that was the social media do is stay in touch, use those apps that I suggested or ones that people suggested down below, follow colleagues and professional pages, show and post what you're proud of, use those privacy settings. Remember about the social media don'ts though, just maybe don't post those things in general, and then create professional profiles. And that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you for coming and being a part of MinShape's first virtual conference. I know we really appreciate you guys all being here. The membership was definitely encouraged, but this was free, and hope that you guys can refer back to these sessions in the future. If you have any questions, please email me at annika.culver@minshape.org. Yeah, remember to comment down below your Twitter, your Facebook, other resources that you found that are really helpful for keeping in contact with your students, etc. But thank you so much.